Agriculture is a vital sector in Nigeria's economy, contributing significantly to the country's GDP and employing a large percentage of the population. As a result, governance in Nigeria is heavily influenced by agricultural policies and initiatives. The government has even implemented various programs aimed at improving agricultural productivity, enhancing food security, and reducing poverty among farmers and rural communities. These initiatives include providing subsidized input, credit facilities, and technical support to farmers. However, agriculture in Nigeria also faces significant challenges, including limited access to finance, climate change impacts, and land degradation. There is also another swing to it, insecurity. But of course, to address these problems, the government and stakeholders must work together to promote sustainable agricultural practices. But is it possible that the government alone can do this? What will be the role of the people in picking up agriculture as a way of also liberating themselves? What practical ways can agriculture help people respond to governance issues? Some consider it as low-hanging fruits. This is the Eastern Eye. I am Alex Obodo. You're welcome to the Eastern Eye, a program that x-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. Joining me tonight is Chima Christian, the co-founder and CEO Teva Foods. He's also a good governance advocate, but now he's wearing a new suit, that of a farmer. Thank you for joining us, Chima Christian. Hello, Chima, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. It's my pleasure to join you this evening.
Yes, I didn't even get to ask you where you are joining us from.
Well, I'm a global citizen, so yes.
Yeah.
Thank God for internet. Yes.
Okay, so great. So how has it been? It looks like you've made quite an interesting switch from a good governance advocate to a full-time agriculturist. Talk to us about that transition, and at what point did you decide to pivot to agriculture, or I should say to farming?
Well, thank you so very much for that question. I've always been of the opinion that people should communicate their ideas through action. And the few times I've been on your platform, my view has always been that Nigerians have a role to play in the development of Nigeria, not just the government, but also the governed. And at some point, my belief is that we have to get tired of complaining and switch into action. So at any time you see me, there are a number of issues I'm working on. They might be public policy issues, they might also be developmental issues. But at this time, I've chosen to focus my energy to attempt to tackle and then inspire others to join in tackling two major problems for Nigeria and Africa. Number one is food security. It doesn't make any logical sense that the country with the second largest arable land in the whole of Africa is suffering from food inflation and food insecurity. The second thing I want to help address is the issue of unemployment. I believe that agriculture is that sector that can help Nigeria turning a number of unemployed youths into productive young people in such a short time without that massive investment as you would see with other sectors. So agriculture, as I see it, is a low-hanging fruit. And I'm here to pluck it and then to also inspire others to do the same.
Has this always been your passion, Chima? I mean, listening to you do analysis on politics, one will be finding it hard to believe that, wow, Chima is in the farm. Has it always been your passion to go into agriculture? And at what point did you decide? Because you tried to explain generally, but I want you to particularly tell us, what was it? What was that tipping point? What was that single igniting fire that helped you to make that decision?
Interestingly, I was 19 when I read that Nigeria was either the second or third largest producer of tomatoes, and then also the second largest importer of same products, and that a number of all the products we were producing end up being wasted because we can't process and add value to them. and we also lack storage systems. So at 19, I set out to build a tomato processing factory. That was before Dangote attempted and they eventually built his own. So I saw that opportunity at 19 and I moved fast towards it. I did my business analysis. I did my engaged a number of people to help me with the business plan development and all. And I began to pitch my idea to investors. I began to pitch my ideas to government officials. And then I could remember one man saying to me, I like what you're saying, but I think the risk was that I was too young to have such ideas and that I was a flight risk for him. And so after that, of course, I spent a lot of money trying to set it up. But imagine a 19-year-old trying to set up a tomato processing plant. And then I didn't know what I know now, and I didn't have the contact I have now. I wanted to start it big. I would have started small, though, and then maybe it would have scaled by now. But I tucked that in my away somewhere in my heart. And I've been nurturing it since then. And then more recently, that spark came again, and I felt in my spirit that it was time to now go into it. Mind you also that I am a serial entrepreneur. All the while that I've been doing good governance advocacy, one of the things that has kept me going, especially to keep me stay to what I believe to be the truth at all times, is that I've always had my businesses, not just one, but multiple businesses that put food on the table. It may not be much, but at least it's enough to put food on the table so that I don't collect money from politicians and start saying things that I shouldn't say. So yes, I've always run businesses away from the media, away from the public. I just do my private thing. But because of the model that we're doing now, I not just to farm and produce for people, but also to encourage others to do it. And that's why I also have decided to make my farming activities public. If not, there are other businesses that I run that people don't know that I do. And I think that the hallmark, as you've said, anytime people see Chima Christian, the emblem there is that of a good governance advocate. But this guy here is also an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, where I used to work before, one of the ads for one of the programs or one of the promos saying that when I go on a good governance, which is bringing me to the main issue here. There are many sayings about empty stomach and trying to do good. They say to the man with an empty stomach, food is God.
Yes.
So, well, imagine that if you are a good governance advocate, but you're not sure of your next meal, how much of a good governance advocate would that really be?
It's a thing, and that's also why I see a lot of my colleagues who are, by the way, you will give it to them. It requires a lot of, or a certain level of, I won't call it brilliance, but at least a certain level of composure to be able to do good governance advocacy. And I tell my friends and my colleagues, and I say, it's good that we're fighting for Nigeria, but we'll have to fight on two hands. One hand, we use it to fight for the people. But on the other hand, you must not always outsource your responsibility to government. As you're fighting for the people, you must also make sure that you're fighting to provide the basics for yourself and for your family, right? And then the good governance advocacy in and of itself is not a career. In and of itself is not something that you do for a living, but that you should have other things. That's why you must devote energy to the good governance advocacy, but reserve some energy to devote into other productive ventures. It might be teaching, it might be coaching, it might be consulting, it might be agriculture, as we are now doing. But whatever it is, that you must have something that puts food on the table so that your yes is always yes. And you will see it with many people who are into praise singing, psychophancy, because after a while, they start out with good governance advocacy. But then eventually they find out, as you've said earlier, that a hungry man cannot consistently demand for good governance. They begin to pivot to who pays the highest. And by the mercies of God, I learned that early, and God has also helped me to always put my hands to something and then provide for myself and the family. With that, I can always focus on fighting for the people and not converting that into fighting for my stomach.
Okay, so let's talk about the farming thing proper.
Yes, please.
Are there low-hanging fruits if someone wants to go into farming? I mean, you had the idea, the plan to own a tomato processing plant. I mean, that didn't look like a low-hanging fruit. But are there real low-hanging fruits today in Nigeria?
A lot of them. A lot of them. Again, you see that I did not start out with the tomato processing plant because, like I mentioned, I now know more compared to when I was 19. Because then I was thinking that you start building from the top. It's now that I know that you build from the ground and then you scale it up from there. And that's why we started from the soil. There's a lot of low-hanging fruits. And how will you know is that you look at the problem, what is the total available market for this problem that I'm trying to solve? I mean, there are 224 or 26 million Nigerians, and they are all expected to eat food at some point. All right. And then if you're able to help provide for them, and even if you're providing for 10 other people apart from yourself, from 20 other people apart from yourself, 30, 50, 100, 50, whatever your capacity is apart from yourself, the society will reward you well for doing that. And I see the low-hanging fruit that people now can convert their spaces into productive use. People can convert their balconies, people can convert their compound, people can convert their backyard, including people who live in maybe interlocked compounds, can do sack farming and a number of things, and they can convert that to produce first for themselves, to protect themselves and to hedge against the food inflation, because even if you're producing only 20% of your consumption, or at least 5% or 10% of your consumption, that at least helps you with this kind of economy that we're in now. But even more importantly, it gives you access and control, so to speak, as to the quality of the food you're ingesting, especially in this day and age of mass or food-induced diseases, let me say it that way.
So, I mean, let's talk about what you're doing at Teva Farms. I mean, I see a lot of what you call greenhouse farming. That's what it's called?
Yes.
So, I mean, is it such a cumbersome thing to get into?
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. I mean, anyone that has the interest can get into it, and then the information is available publicly. All you have to do is to look it up online, maybe Google, maybe ChatGPT. In fact, if you use ChatGPT, it can even get you the numbers of people who do it, people who can help you construct it, people who can train you in it. And I think that is something that any young person can get into doing. Why greenhouse farming? Because it helps you mitigate the impact of climate change. All right. I mean, as of today, 99.9% of the food produced in Nigeria are produced open field operations. So again, you don't need greenhouses to start. But because of what we decided to produce and who we're producing for, it's imperative that we use greenhouse, or we produce in a controlled environment where we supply water to the crops when they need it, where we don't allow external rain to enter the farm. So that's the purpose of the greenhouse farm. But as you can see, we also have open field operations where we do something like root and tuber operations. We've done yam, we've done potato, we've done beetroots, we're now doing trial of at least 10 to 15 different food items, including vegetables. So I encourage anybody who wants to go into agriculture to consider it something worth doing. You can start this evening by going online on YouTube, anywhere, to seek more information on it. And after 2 or 3 weeks of research, it should be enough for anybody to start and then to, as I call it, to stumble forward or to bumble forward, because you won't know all that it takes to run it effectively before you start. But that's how other businesses operate. There's no how you can get 100% of the information before you start. You can start with 50, you can start with 60, you can start with 40, whatever it is, just start and then be willing to learn and adapt as you go. So that has been our formula at Teva Foods. We didn't know all before we started. Even as of today, we don't know all. We're almost always in constant need of new information, new contacts, new resources. And then there are challenges we were not trained for. But as you know, God would have it. As those challenges come up, we find ways to solve those challenges. And each one we solve, we now have the inherent capacity to solve it, not just for ourselves, but for others.
So, at the end of the day, there are concerns some people have. Yes, you say, yeah, you can use a balcony, but the real deal here is that you need land to do proper agriculture. I mean, whichever way you want to put it, you will need land, and a lot of it, if you want to get into agriculture meaningfully. In Southeast Nigeria, do you think that what you're saying is music to the ears of a lot of people?
It should be. It should be. If you, maybe I should also give this as a free gift. By the way, our trainings are free because we want to encourage. As at today, more than 700 million naira has been injected into agriculture by people who say, Chima, I'm inspired by what you're doing, investing XYZ. So that's why I'm democratizing what I know. I know a number of people that have started something this year as a result of what we're doing. And as a result of what I'm about to say in the next 2 minutes, a number of people will start something. Because there are 4 critical components you need to be to do successful agriculture. Now, in the textbook, they call it other names, but for me, I call it some other name. So first, you need space. You need space. You don't need land. You need space to start. All right. Then after space, you need the people. Then after people, you need the capital and you need the technology. These are 4 critical factors of production, and anybody can combine them. Since you mentioned specifically land, let me solve the land issue for anybody who is listening to us and then solve it permanently. There are 3 things you do with land. Number 1 is to get land as equity. Number 2 is to get land as lease. Number 3 is to get land as outright purchase. And then I'll recommend anybody who is starting out should use the first 2. So equity means that this is a landowner. And by the way, there is no urban center in Nigeria because I do urban farming. There are 3 lands. Depending on the location, there is urban land, there is rural land, there is semi-urban land. So let's stick to urban land, for instance, for people who are in the urban area. There is no urban area you will get to in Nigeria where you will not see fenced properties, even in Enugu as you speak. As you are going back home from work now, begin to audit all the lands available to you. Because there are people who have bought up properties in Enugu, in Abuja, in Port Harcourt, or in whatever city your listeners are hearing us from, and they are unwilling or unable to develop it immediately. Maybe they have fenced the property, maybe they have not fenced it. So that undeveloped urban land is yours for the taking. All you have to do is to pitch to the owner, and you can find them if you invest in research by hiring locals who will tell you, oh, this land belongs to X person. You can say to them, I am going to do XYZ on your 6 plots of land. This is the expected revenue. If you give me this land as an investment, I will get 50% of all our proceeds. Or you can lease that land, all right? You can lease it for a year, you can lease it for 2 years, you can lease it for 3 years. And as I speak to your audience today, I say to them, from here, take a mental map from your house to the estate or to the street or to the road or from your house to work. Any undeveloped piece of land, all right, is available to you if you can structure the deal properly. You can buy it, you can lease it, or you can get it as equity. I recommend leasing equity. So that solves the issue of land because you can get it. Nigeria has the 2nd largest arable land in the whole of Africa. Land is not a problem in Nigeria. All the land you would need, guess what, are in Nigeria today. Number 2, there are people who have those lands, they don't know what to do with it. I can tell you for free, between the time I said I'm doing agriculture and now, I've been offered more than 100 plots of land. Not plots, different lands of anywhere. So if you just can post on your status update consistently that you want to do agriculture, you will see people who will offer you their lands, especially when they believe in what you're doing. And then if you have identified the land you need, reach out to the owners. All those fenced land that are not built, they're available to us. You can take it for 2 years, 1 year, 3 years, whatever it is, and then you can make productive use of it. And that is the same formula that you can use for land. You can take that same formula and use it for capital. And so there are many models you can use to get the land you need, get the capital you need, and also get the people you need. I believe in combining the factors of production. That's also what I've done for you to see what you call Teva Foods today. And I would love to democratize that, and I would love to have a number of your viewers act on this information and spread the knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, I'm loving it. It's music to my ears. I mean, just like I'm talking to you now, I no longer buy bitter leaf, by the way. So maybe by this time next year, we'll no longer be buying any vegetable at all. There's something in the offing. But there are people who, because they don't have time, so that's what the problem is. They don't have time, but they are interested. What's your suggestion for this category of people like myself? You know, I'm still here. It's way past 7 p.m.
Yes.
If you have a farm and they haven't seen your farm since 1 p.m. till now, that's a problem, isn't it?
It is. So for people like you, 2 advice for you. Start with your balcony. That's why I love that you have some vegetables at home, right? Start from your balcony, start from your backyard. At least you can give them minimal care and start from crops or vegetables that don't require that much of an attention. Just water them when it's not raining, sometimes once in a week, sometimes if you do your stuff where it may have to be just, there are a lot of options available to you to do it in your backyard or in front of your compound and minimal care. And by the way, I say this to people, Nigeria has no business at this time of its development with ornamentals. A lot of people, I see them, they plant flowers in front of their compound. We have no business with that. As at this time of our development, you have to get to food sufficiency first before you now design your spaces for ornamentals, for planting flowers. And then you ask yourself, each of those flowers we plant, there is the edible or the productive other side of it. For instance, instead of planting dwarf coconuts, people plant this thing, I don't know what they call it, but it takes up space. So whatever you see as flower, look around, you will see a fruit-bearing or a herb-bearing or a root-bearing fruit of that nature. So the same care you give to your flowers, you can give the same care to your plants and they will do well, right? That is for people who can do it in their balconies or in the backyard or in the front house, anywhere that is close to them. The second is that I have told them to find credible, reputable companies. As of today, there are multiple, and I'm not pitching for Teva Foods. We are not even registered on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, but there are companies, other companies registered on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Give them your money, they will trade with it, they will do business with it, and then you guys will share the dividend. And then that's what I say. But I advise people with caution into going into partnerships. As of today, the biggest risk I've seen, and I say this as someone who has been privileged to go to other farms because I went to more than 10 different greenhouses before I started my own. Since starting, I've visited about 15 others, not just greenhouses, but other operations. And I've seen that the biggest risk to farming is not capital, it's not land, it's not Fulani herdsmen, it's people, it's the workers, it's the partners, it's the consultants. And so people who don't have time, they want to go into partnership. Make sure that those people don't just have the technical competence, but they have the composite character needed to manage these things, because they tend to be lazy, they tend to be, laissez-faire. And then, like I say to people, agriculture is not where you can bring your anyhowness. For instance, people wake up and say, all my cattle died, all my chicken died, No, they don't just die. It is rare, and it is very rare for a disease that has not been known, that has not been discovered, to be discovered in your farm. Anything that will happen to your crops or animals must have happened to other people's crops or animals, and they have documented it. And we should know that this kind of diseases attack at this kind of time. And so when you don't prepare for those things, then you incur losses. And I've seen a lot of people invest so much but got so little because they entrusted their farms and their investments into the hands of wrong people. I don't discourage investments like that, but I say that you must profile to not just know that they are good potato farmers, but that they have the character to keep your potato farm running and to return whatever it is you agreed at the end of business transaction.
That's quite a lot you've said in that speech band, Chima. And so it looks like agriculture might be the only way the voices of Nigerians can sound loud and clear to the government. Which other way can you contribute to government other than being contented yourself? You think that overdependence on government and their policies is part of the problem we are having?
I laugh at people when they tell people, oh, don't sell your votes, oh, don't do this, oh, come and demand for good governance. I've tried that and I've found out from experience. This good governance thing did not start today. The earliest article I published in a newspaper was in 2013. All right, 2013. And the earliest time my voice was featured on a radio station was in 2014. And I've been consistent at it between then and now. But I've found out from years of engagement, I'm not saying that I've grown gray hairs in this, but I've just shown you that I've been doing this for a number of times to ask myself, why are they not getting what I'm saying? And I've found that telling people who are hungry to come out and protest, you require a certain level of comfort. If you've done Maslow's hierarchy of need, you need to have covered the basics, and then good governance seems to be at those high level in that hierarchy. Because someone who has not eaten, someone who does not know where his next meal is going to come from, like the by-elections you just saw recently, and someone offers them 20,000, they can take that 20,000 because it can solve an immediate need. Now you're telling them to deny the 20,000 and wait for you for 4 years or 3 years for for you to bring about that change. What if you don't bring about that change? All right, so it's a huge risk for us to run a democracy of a bunch of hungry people who don't know where their next meal is coming from. By the way, I keep saying this, and this is not an attack on democracy, but you need to understand that Nigeria and Africa may not be in a place where democracy can work for it. And the easiest way we can get us there is to get our people educated and well-fed. First is that Europe used monarchies to stabilize their economies before they granted people access to decide. America used, which was an offshoot of Europe, used that European system. By the time people who left Europe to go and found America, they were not hungry people. They were well-to-do. That was why it seemed as if their democratic experience started off. But then, even as at then, you could not vote if you're not a landowner. You could not vote. Women were not allowed to vote. You could not vote if you were not a landowner, if you cannot cater for yourself. That was what it was in America. Today, we said that there's a universal suffrage. So you allow people who have not gone to school, people who don't know where their next meal is coming from, to come out and vote. And their votes can be compromised by as little as 1 sachet of noodles, 2 bags of onions, 3 cups of rice. So a franchise that can be compromised by 3 cups of rice, I can tell you for free, that's not a franchise. And so that's why I'm telling good governance advocates, let's keep doing what we're doing, but we have to figure out a way to invite the people, encourage the people to produce food for their own self. Because when they are now eating and they have food, they can now look the politician in the eye and say, to hell with your 2 cartons of noodles. And I think that time will come when our people are well fed. So, and I think that agriculture is one of the ways when people are well fed, they will think rationally and they will have that strength to demand persistently for good governance.
So what are those things that people can easily start cultivating? One thing is to ask someone to go into agriculture. Another thing is to say, okay, what are the things that one can easily go into? You also talked about urban farming, which
yes.
also would mean that irrigation is necessary. If you are in a location where there's a lot of story about water, in many urban cities in Southeast, I'm not sure that we've finished telling the story about water. So,
yes.
So if you want to do irrigation, how do you do it?
All right. So, yes, for some states in the Southeast, and without being particular about any, water supply is a problem. But people can take advantage of the rainwater. You can collect it. But even if that's not enough, people can also take advantage of what I call partnerships. For instance, even in those areas where you talk about, you can still see houses where people have sunk their own boreholes. The government is unable to do something to help the people, but the people are acting in ways to help themselves, all right? And they have done things, they have boreholes. So if there is a farmland here on empty land here, but there is a developed land close to it, and that developed land has water, all you have to do is to contribute to their diesel or their petrol or pay a part of the light bill so that they can tap water and give you water. So I believe in partnership and in networking and in reaching out and in unity. So you have water, I can take your water and I can help you pay your light bill. I can help you do this. So that's where you can solve that problem. I believe that if a mind is determined on solving a problem, it will find a way to solve it. Now, I will not, of course, for the want of time, give out all the answers on this platform. And again, I don't even have all the answers. But again, whatever is unique, the challenges that are unique to your own domain, I believe that if you're determined, that you can find a way to overcome those challenges. You asked about what people can go into. I believe that the quick wins are the the quick wins are the leafy vegetables and other vegetables, right? These are vegetables that you can start harvesting in a month and a half. These are vegetables you can harvest in 2 months, 3 months, pepper vegetables. The whole gamut of vegetables, especially the one you love eating. Let's start from the one you love eating. And then you can also do things like watermelon, cucumber. You'll be surprised that the whole, almost all parts of Nigeria can grow vegetables for all parts of Nigeria. And it's just that people have not tried it. And just go to the seed council in your state. For people who live in Enugu, just Google seed council, go there and get the seeds and plant and water it, and then go online and find how to take care of those things. And in 1 month, you'll be surprised that you'll be producing your own food. If people take action today, by the time we get to the 19th of September, believe me, people will have been eating from their backyard. leafy vegetables are there, other vegetables are there, fruits are there. And then people can now go into root and tuber. For instance, now that we are buying new yam, just save it a little bit, and in the next 4 months, go online, find a way to plant it in bags or in sacks. They need minimal water to survive. Those are some of the things I'm thinking about. But again, if people are interested, they can Google up and find inspiration online.
The question again is, each time we talk about agriculture, we tend to always believe young people need to get into this. I mean, what if that's not our fate, that it's young people that will produce the food? I mean, because if you cast your mind back, the way we do agriculture then and the way it is happening now is not the same. It's like there's a wide gulf. Do you think that the future of agriculture lies with the youths? Or is it or do you think it lies with something a little more resilient, other than just being young?
Yes. Well, the young people may need the support and the wisdom of the aged, but no serious country with our population will leave a critical sector, or in fact, rural farmers, I won't call them peasant farmers, let me use the word rural farmers, bear the significant brunt of Nigeria's food security infrastructure. And that's not sustainable. And then apart from the topsy-turvies with our exchange rates and all of those things happening in the economy, the thing is this, that the population is growing and people will need to be eating, but we're not producing enough. We're not producing en masse. Yes, we will say there is insecurity and all of those things, but the thing is this, that as we are needing more food, we don't have people producing it, and we're not adapting to modern technology and all of those things that will help us. So I believe that young people will have that zest if they come into this, and I advocate for full spectrum ownership. You've seen what young people did with sports and entertainment, for instance. You've also seen what young people are doing with AI, with coding, with technology. If young people, Nigerians, young Africans, put that kind of energy into agriculture, you will see that we will take ownership of this space and then turn it around in such a short time. And this is not just a joke. I need to tell people that there is money in agriculture. Let me give you, this is the 10 largest sectors in the economy as of Q1, quarter one of 2025. Real estate was number one at 16.42 trillion. The second is trade at 14.59 trillion. Guess what the third is? The third is crop production at 11.78 trillion. The fourth is telecommunication at 7.24 trillion. 5, construction. 6, crude oil and petroleum and all of those things. 7, food, beverage and tobacco. 8, livestock. Now, if you put food, beverage and tobacco, combine them with livestock at 3, so food, beverage and tobacco is at 3.53 trillion. Livestock is at 3.3 trillion. And then crop production is at 11.8 trillion. If you combine this sector, this sector will be producing the highest in terms of largest sectors of our economy as of Q1 2025. It's because they are unbundled into 3 different units: food and beverages, crop production, and animal production. If you lump them up, you will see that we've surpassed crude oil, we've surpassed real estate, and this is a sector where young people can come in and make. There's no end to the amount of money young people can make in agriculture. If you can see that people have problems and if you're helping them to solve it, just like real estate. But again, I see that sometimes tech is fanciful, real estate is fanciful, and they are all good because those are areas I played into and sometimes have other things doing around that area. But I invite young people, go beyond the noise and enter agriculture, especially smart farming. You will see the amount of money there is to be made in this. And I encourage all the young people to put some energy and attention into this, especially people who have said that they've gone to school and they are looking for work. I mean, anybody who is looking for work is already working so hard, looking for what to do. There are problems to solve. Just go and intern for any farm for 2 or 3 months, learn the basics, and then use the models you've to start your own. Find investors that can give you the money, find the land anywhere, get it done. Whatever it is, solve the problem and you'll be rewarded for it. That's what I advocate for young people. And I'm not just preaching it, I'm doing it with action. Believe me, the young people we're training in some of our training facilities, they are getting ready to play big in agriculture. Beyond that, I've mentioned to you that people who I know have said to me, I'm investing XYZ. And as at today, before coming to your program, I aggregated all the things people have invested in agriculture, 700 million additional investments into agriculture, because we have started doing something. By the time we are done, we would have inspired maybe a generation to take this thing seriously. Agriculture is no longer farming and all of those things. It's a serious business. And you've seen from the numbers that we have surpassed crude oil, we have surpassed even telecommunication. And then combined, we have surpassed even real estate. And I believe that we can do more.
All right, just hold it there. We'll take a very quick break. When we return, we'll have more questions for Chima Christian, the co-founder and CEO of Teva Foods. Stay with us. You're welcome back to the Eastern Eye here on Afia TV, a program that X-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. I still have Chima Christian with us, the co-founder and CEO of Teva Foods. I mean, I love every word you've said tonight, but then a lot of encouragement needs to go out there, because there's a lot of haste when people want to make it. They don't want to wait for harvest. They don't want to wait for seed. They don't want to wait out the seed time, the period between seed time and harvest, because that's where the issue is. Maybe if you plant yam, you need to wait a few months. So people don't have time to wait for things to materialize. And even in politics, patience is needed, isn't it? Likewise in agriculture. Just help us paint a picture of how the two are linked. Patience.
Well, the thing is this, that many young people are misguided. If you see the incredible amount of effort it takes to be a fraudster, what they call Yahoo Plus, you would think that if you just go there, you pick money anyhow. Some of them work like 3 years, they've not picked anything. That's why you will see one, maybe Benz that they buy, and there's only one person driving the Benz, but he's carrying 16 others inside it, to tell you that out of the 16 of them, there's only one person that picks money. And then that money will run out in the next 2 or 3 months, and they are back to square one. And so the incredible amount of effort young people put to be able to go into fraud, to be able to go into violence, to be able to go into kidnapping. I mean, you need to see the amount of effort, but wasted in the wrong direction. And I tell people, if you can spend that amount of effort, you've just been defrauded, but you were promised El Dorado that if you join kidnapping, if you join Yahoo Plus, if you join whatever HK, whatever they call it, that you will make it big. And that's not true, because you will see the sleepless nights. They are trying to hack into people's accounts. They are trying to do fake online relationship. And sometimes you can develop one relationship for 6 or 7 months before you can attempt to defraud the person. And at the end of the time, it may not work. So the thing is this, that if people put in that effort into farming or culture, or indeed any positive endeavor of their choice, I believe that it will link. Yes, you need strategic patience, but it doesn't have to be. Because in agriculture, there are many things you can put your money in, and depending on what you have, people who have patient capital, so capital that can wait, they are comfortable. They can plant fruit trees. There are trees, apples, oranges, mangoes, all of those that can, grow in 3 years. I mean, some of them will start fruiting from 9 months, 1 year, but full peak production should be 3 to 5 years. I mean, including oil palm and all of those things. But those are for people who have patient capital, their money can wait. But for people whose money cannot wait, you can plant things you can get out in 6, 7, 8 months. There's yam, there's cassava, or you can even go to vegetables that you can get out in a month and a half. So depending on what your investment appetite is, and there's a lot of things to be made in agriculture. Believe me, there are things you plant today, cucumber, cabbage, all of those other things, in 42 days, in 1 month, you will start getting the harvest. So yes, patience is needed, but even if you don't have that long time to wait, believe me, there are things you can do now, and in such a short time, you can get back your results. And it's almost guaranteed if you do the right thing, because whatever you put to our earth, and God has blessed us with arable land, God has blessed us with good climate. Imagine that Ukraine, with all their adverse weather condition, will be producing the kind of food they are producing. And we, in some parts of Canada, you only have 4 months out of the 12 to farm. Jordan one's taken over by frost. Now we have full 12 months and arable land, good climate, and young and enterprising people. And it's just that we have not put attention to it. And I think that if we start today, it will be a very good start for all of us.
So, two things before we go, Chima Christian. How much do you think one needs to venture into agriculture, no matter the scale now? And secondly, is this the safest way to make sure that what you're eating is what the doctor ordered?
So the first, in terms of amount of money you need, is your attention. You have to pay attention. So what is required of you is your attention. Once your attention goes into it, there is no minimum investment required. There is no maximum investment. I mean, if you have $1 billion, bring it and invest into agriculture. If you have $1 million, bring it and invest into agriculture. But believe me, I'm training one of the people who said, "Oh, I have just 60,000, and I'm recommending, okay, with your 60,000, and you said you like vegetables. Okay, why don't you do this and this instead of buying this? Why don't you use organic manure?" So there are things someone can do with their 60,000. There are things, even youth corpers, while they are doing their youth service, they are earning 170,000 or thereabout per annum, per month. All right, that's your allowance. There are things you can save up and do with it, even while you are serving. As you are serving, in your third month of serving, you would have done something that in that service you are solving a problem for the community, and then you're getting rewarded for solving problems. So there's no minimum investment here. What you have to do is to pay attention to it. And by the way, when we talk about capital, there are 3 things you need to know about capital. First is that knowledge is a capital. So if you invest your time to know things about agriculture, that's an investment you've made. Second is that there is the social capital, the people who know you. There's this thing we call friends and family, right? I mean, if people know you that you're serious and you tell them that you're going into agriculture and say that you need 100,000 to go into agriculture, I believe that you can find 10 people or 20 people who can give you, maybe 10 people who can give you 10,000 naira each, and you've raised your 100,000, or 5 people who can give you 20,000 each, and you've raised your 20,000. I mean, it's not that difficult, especially if you start small and they're able to see what you're doing, and then they can help you to scale it. So that's my advice. Then as for eating for health benefits, yes, in this day and age, and by the way, I'm not here to demonize anybody or any kind of production, whether it is whatever it is called. And there are people who believe in that, and they're actively pursuing that, and I give them the credit that they are doing something in line with what they believe. My problem is usually with people who say, "Oh, I don't want this other branded products. I don't want this thing. They are not good for health." I mean, you're talking, but I don't believe we can solve a problem like that by just mere talking. People are actively promoting the kind of food they envision for the world. And your best defense against that is to actively promote what you want. Even if you don't want to do it at scale, at least you can do it for your own family. Now, there is nobody that can produce, that may be able to produce 100% of all they consume. But you should have a stake in that, even if it is 20%, even if it's 30%. And believe me, you can do a lot in your balconies or your backyard if you want to. Even if you're not doing it for profits, you're doing it because now you are sure of what you're producing. You are sure of what you're eating. And then your family, your body will thank you for it.
Finally, your body will thank you for it. You know what? I have to thank you so much, Chima. You are inspiring a lot of people, and a lot of things are going inside my mind. Calculating the sizes and the diameters of all the empty spaces I see on my way home. Thank you so much, Chima.
Please approach those people, get hold of those lands. Let it be a key takeaway from this, and then get it done, so that by the next time we come, we'll also be expecting your massive farm.
Chima, there are things you don't know about land in this town. It's not it's not something I'll say on TV. Thank you so much for talking to us. Very inspiring session I had with you tonight on the Eastern Eye. Chima Christian is the co-founder and CEO of Teva Foods. Thank you for talking to us tonight on the Eastern Eye.
Thank you so much.
And that's the Eastern Eye tonight. We'll be here tomorrow same time for another episode. My name is Alex Obodo. Good night.